Hello, I'm Bill Spurlock, Director of Rutherford County Schools. I'd like to take a few moments to speak with you on career and technical education. The goal of every educator is to prepare students for college and careers. Now, we understand that college lasts a finite amount of time, whereas a career lasts a lifetime. Currently in the United States, college student loan debt is at $1.7 trillion. Now, this is not only unsustainable, it's unnecessary. Our mission statement in Rutherford County Schools is to empower today's students to grasp tomorrow's opportunities. These opportunities not only exist in our core classes, but they also exist in our career and technical education classes. We have 39 programs of study, and within each one of those programs of study, we have a multitude of career clusters. We have in our classes the ability for students to not only get high school credit, but also college credit. And some can even take an industry certification test and be prepared for some of the most challenging and the most rewarding careers. We are strong proponents of career technical education.
Hi, I'm Christy Walker. I am an instructor at Stewart's Creek High School. I am part of the Health Science Pathway, and I am the teacher of the nursing services section of our pathway. So I've been a registered nurse for 25 years, worked in all different areas of healthcare. And so I found out that not everyone wants to stick to one area for their whole career. So I really enjoy healthcare and the different areas that you can go in. So that's why I actually love teaching, is that I love teaching a career that I'm passionate about, and also to teach people that there's more to healthcare than just being a doctor or a nurse. In the nursing services pathway, if you choose that, you have to take the health science education is your first class that you take. In that class, you will learn basics of healthcare, a lot of medical terminology, a lot of body systems, vital signs, CPR, first aid, a lot of those different things. It's not as much hands-on, obviously, because we have to learn the basics before we can do the advanced things. And then as you work through the pathway, the final class that you take, which is my nursing services, is nursing education. And that is a CNA class, Certified Nursing Assistant class, that you will take and can, once you pass, it gives you the opportunity to take a Certified Nursing Assistant exam, and you can work straight out of school in the industry. Now in that class, there is book work, obviously, but our lab here, our mannequins that you see here, we use those a lot. Our students learn 27 different skills. They do hands-on with make-believe patients, and they also get the opportunity to go to clinical facilities, long-term care facilities, and do hands-on work with them, because we all know that we learn a lot more hands-on in person than we can in a classroom or a lab. A lot of kids come in and join because they want to be brain surgeons or they want to be pediatricians. And then they realize there's more to it than just that. If you are even slightly interested in healthcare, I would highly encourage you to join our pathway. And even after the first year, some people realize, yes, that's exactly what I wanted. Others say, no, that's not. And I would rather you learn that now, that you're not really interested in doing those things, than after you get to college and waste some of your time. We enjoy having lots of people. I encourage boys a whole lot to join, because they tend to not want to be part of our pathway for one reason or another. But if you are even slightly interested in anything healthcare related, I would encourage you to come join us. So in the nursing services pathway, the biggest opportunity is our clinicals that we go to. We go to a long-term care facility, and then we also go to Stonecrest Hospital. And there, they not only get to see the nursing aspect or the nursing assistant aspect, but they also get to interact with doctors, laboratory professionals, respiratory therapists, physical therapists, a lot more than just, like I said, the doctors and the nurses. So they get to kind of experience that, because most of them don't even know all the careers and the opportunities that are out there for them. And this way they can kind of change their mind or lean more toward one career than the other. And then also we have our CTSO, HOSA, Health Occupational Students of America. That is our club that any student who is in a health science class can join, and we encourage you to join. In HOSA, we do lots of different things, especially public service, community service. We go out, we try and do a lot of things like the Alzheimer's Walk. We do things with Candle Wishes, America's Tooth Fairy, but then we also have the opportunity to compete. And competitions with HOSA involves lots of different things. It can be anywhere from healthcare opportunities, tests for those. It could be job seeking skills. We do a state and a regional and a national competition. So we encourage all of our health science students to become a member of HOSA.
Hi, my name is Andrew England. I'm a senior at Stewart's Creek High School, and I'm part of the Nursing Education CTE pathway. So why did you choose this pathway? I chose this pathway because I've always been sort of a science nerd, and I really just always had an interest in medicine. So I really wanted to take the medical science / health science pathway, and I ended up loving it so much. So I just wanted to apply for the nursing education clinical, and I absolutely love this class. What are some things we get to do in class each day? We get to perform a bunch of stuff in the lab, which is super fun. Like we get to do vital signs, which is like we do pulse, respirations, blood pressure. We're able to help do activities of daily living that we can practice on each other, which we use in nursing homes, like feeding residents, getting them dressed, help change their bed while they're in it, toileting. We do all sorts of stuff like that. What are some of the most important skills that you learned during your time in this field of study? I have definitely learned to multitask and have critical thinking skills, because in this in nursing education, you have to problem solve a lot of problems that happen in like the clinical sites, and even in just this class alone, you have to think on your feet and be able to figure stuff out for yourself and be able to do multiple things at once, because it can be pretty crazy at some points. What has been your favorite experience? It's definitely been going to the clinical sites. I absolutely love like going to the VA home, and I love getting to know all my residents. I love to know their backgrounds, getting to hear about their stories, hearing feedback from their family, and I love just being able to have the opportunity to take care of them. Why should other students want to sign up for this program of study? You should want to sign up because it gives you fundamental life experiences, even if you use it outside the medical pathway. It gives you so many skills in life that you can use. Even if you're not into medicine, that's okay. It's just an amazing class overall, and it's just super fun and super intriguing, and it teaches you a lot. Like you learn a lot about outside the world stuff, and it's really cool. Most important thing a nurse student should know: do not let your nerves get to you, and just trust in yourself and believe that you can do it, and just be able to focus on the stuff you can do and just try your best. Why should more boys be interested in this pathway? You should definitely do that because even if you want to be a doctor as a man or a woman, it gives you like experiences that teach you how to do hands-on work and how to do dirty work and get a leg up even before you go into the medical field. And you can learn all the skills from a nursing standpoint, and it's amazing, and you should just want to try it just to do it.
My name is Marlita Clark. I work for Ascension St. Thomas Health, and I'm a registered nurse in the intensive care unit, also known as the ICU. I became a nurse because as a child, I spent a great deal of time in and out of the hospital as well as my doctor's office. I have type 1 diabetes as well as several other health issues, so I spent a great deal of time with these people. And the really cool thing was my nurses. Like, they just made everything so much better. In a rough time, you need that bit of light, and those nurses provided that light to me. They also provided it to my mom, as you can imagine. It was a very stressful time for my mom, and they just helped to ease her worries. Secondly, my grandmother was also a nurse. She became one of the first nurses in her hospital when integration took place. Both she and my aunt became the first nurses in this particular hospital. And I heard really awesome stories about them. From their former patients, they would talk about how awesome my grandmother was and just how sweet she was. And even years and years after she retired, they still talked about how she changed their lives. So seeing the compassion that my nurses showed me as a child, alongside hearing the stories that were told to me about my grandmother, that motivated me to become a nurse. Again, I work in the intensive care unit. Unfortunately, that means that all of my patients are really, really sick. I take care of the sickest patients. Every day looks a little different because every patient is different, but ultimately, I spend about 12 or 13 hours just by their bedside doing whatever I can to make sure that they stay alive for the evening. So as an example, many of my patients are on the ventilator, or what you may have heard of as a breathing tube. I monitor them to make sure that they're getting enough oxygen to ensure that they are still breathing well. And I have to work closely with the doctors and nurse practitioners in order to make sure they're receiving the best care. Many of them are on a lot of medications, and oftentimes I have to adjust those medications to help them sustain life. Sometimes my job looks just like what you see on television. You may have seen on a television show where all the nurses and doctors rush out to a helicopter and there's a really sick patient that's come in, and they rush this patient into the hospital and they do compressions or they press on the patient's chest to try to get that heart working again. And they put a big mask on their face and provide lots of oxygen to them to help them breathe if they're unable to breathe on their own. My nights sometimes look like that. Or where you see where they have a defibrillator, the little pads on their chest where someone shocks them. Again, my night sometimes looks like that. So it can be a little intense at times. Other nights, unfortunately, I sometimes go in and I know that my patient is going to die. I go in to help provide comfort to that patient as well as their family members. And oftentimes it's really strange when I tell other people that I'm going in to help a patient as they pass. They wonder how we as nurses can handle that. But in my case, again, just like those nurses during my childhood provided light in a dark situation, that's why I'm there. I'm there to help comfort them as they pass, to hold their hand. Sometimes these patients don't have family members there with them, so I am their family member during this time. So what are some other jobs that are available in the nursing industry? I do bedside nursing, which is what I think most people think of when considering nursing. That's the nurse who literally hangs out by the patient's bedside. But other roles include a school nurse. You've got a nurse in your school, I'm sure. And we help to care for the the students who are present within the school to ensure that you all are well cared for when you're sick. Nurses also work in the legal field. So we need to ensure that the standard of practice is great in every single hospital and every single avenue of the medical field. And nurses help to ensure that by helping on the legal side, also helping to develop policies and procedures within the hospital. We assist with research. A big topic right now is COVID-19. So nurses play a huge role in that in helping to collect data to better understand COVID-19 and to also develop the vaccination to help slow down the process of the development of COVID-19 and other diseases. COVID-19 is just one, but basically we are there to help slow down the process of whatever is making the community unhealthy, because our goal is always to make the world a healthier place. Lastly, nurses can go on to receive advancing degrees. So I can go on to become a nurse practitioner. Nurse practitioners are quite similar to doctors, or I could be a nurse anesthetist. This is the person who helps to assist with the anesthesiology that takes place, anesthesia, or the medications that help to put a patient under while receiving surgery. And again, there are so many more roles for nurses that we take on, so it just goes well beyond bedside nursing. So nurses also help with the development of various technologies. Because we are the individuals who work so closely with technology, then of course it's only right that we help to develop it. We understand what makes our job easier. So if there's a computer system that needs to be put in place to make our job easier or to make the lives of our patients better, then we are the ones to assist with that. So what sort of education did I need to become a registered nurse? Again, there are many types of nurses, but I am a registered nurse. In my case, I did a traditional 4-year university in which I received my bachelor's degree. I took a little time off because admittedly, I did not know in the very beginning that I wanted to be a registered nurse. I knew I wanted to work in the medical field, but I hadn't quite figured out exactly which route I wanted to take. So I had a little time off between and decided to go back to nursing school, at which point I went to a 2-year program. As you can imagine, much of my coursework had to do with science. There was lots of science involved because we have to understand what goes on in the human body in order to be able to treat the human body. I admittedly was not the best at science when I was in middle school or even the beginning stages of high school, but I saw, or rather I recognized that I was going to have to do a lot of science in order to go into the medical field. So I spent a lot of time getting better, and eventually science became one of my stronger subjects. I think the biggest thing or the biggest trait that you'll need in order to become a nurse is compassion. You can learn science, you can, go over that with your teachers and spend time just studying in books, but compassion is something that comes from within. And I feel that is the greatest trait that you can have as a nurse. So why should you become a nurse? If you are compassionate, if you enjoy helping others get better, then you should become a nurse. Also, we need you. Unfortunately, illness is not going away. And as the population grows, the number of sick people grows, and we need more nurses to help care for them. So if you're a compassionate person and eager to learn, I need you as my fellow nurse. Thanks for considering nursing.